Hi there, it's Roy Breton from GardenEquipmentReview.com here. Today we're looking at the Etesia Bahia machine. This is a very compact ride-on mower. It's something I've owned in the past, and it's very similar to something we looked at the other day, which was the Etesia Hydro 80, which is another product I've also owned. I have to say that the Hydro is a slightly more heavier duty product and better suited to contracting. I've owned them both, but I did prefer the Hydro, to be fair, but I'll come back to that in a minute. So let's go back to the Etesia Bahia. So this one sells for £4,699 plus VAT. Now these are list prices, so you could probably get a discount, and the Hydro is £5,850 plus VAT. So a little bit more money, but I would say it's worth the extra money. But so let's come back to the Bahia machine, and one of the reasons, the biggest reason I purchased my Etesia back in probably in the late 90s was I was using walk behind machines, Hayter Harriers, and but they'd left a great finish. But the problem was with cutting wet grass, and something that the Etesia does really well is it will pick up wet grass. You've got to keep the bag clean, and you've got to be sensible with it, but it will do it. So let's go through the pictures. So here we've got it says a go anywhere mower, and it really is. It's although it's bigger than what my walk behind mowers at 32 inches wide, my walk behind mowers were 22, so it's 10 inches wider. It really is highly manoeuvrable. So so it can get around paths. You can see it here going around shrubs. Let's move on to the next slide. Here's just sort of cutting the standard grass. Now on my one I actually had an optional roller fitted on the back here, so it actually left a striped finish. You could put it down from here. That wasn't actually an Etesia product, it was an engineering company, but definitely worth it for when you want to get that striped finish, which so many people like, especially here in the UK. So here it says automatic gearbox. Basically what it is hydrostatic transmission. So you've got an oil pump and a motor on the wheels here, hydraulic motor, and here there's a foot pedal, 2 foot pedals, and you've got forward and reverse at variable speed. So it really is easy to drive. Once you've driven a hydrostatic mower, you certainly won't want to go back to a traditional gearbox and clutch machine. So it does make it very easy to use. Go to the next slide. Another picture of it going around shrubs. It has got good stability. Always take care when you're going up slopes, but for cutting the average lawn I never had a problem with gentle slopes, and providing you take care. Obviously there are limitations, but it's a pretty stable machine, bearing in mind how compact it is. Here you got the grass box, very simple to empty. This one's it tips up electronically, the collector, which is great. The one I had wasn't electric, just had a lever here, and that just lifted the gearbox up. The grass comes up the chute, so it shoots directly in and directly into the 240 litre collector. So it's quite a good large size collector, and when the collector's getting full, a buzzer sounds, so you haven't got to keep looking and seeing if the bag is full. Some ride-on mowers have separate bags where you have to get off the machine. I've never understood that, because when you're sitting on a ride-on mower you don't want to have to keep jumping on and off. But this just on this version it's electric, so just press a switch and the box lifts up, or on the other machines you can do it manually. So great system there. Here it just shows ideal working conditions. So you've got the cutter deck adjustment here, handbrake there, fuel filler up here, nice and easy with a gauge on the top. Around the other side on my one you could empty the box, but because it's electric they've got the controls on here, so you've got cutter deck engagement on there, the capabilities for emptying the box on there, and also there is an optional light fitting if you want it for road use, something that I didn't have. So very compact, bearing in mind the size of the machine. I never felt cramped up on it. So let's go to the next slide. So talk about safety here. Noise level of under 100 dBA. Now they do an electric model. It's a lot of money. I personally wouldn't bother with it. I think it's about 15,000. It's a lot of money with about 3 to 4 hours of grass cutting time. So it's not, to my mind, it's not brilliant and not practical. So I would stick with the petrol models. There's a built-in blade brake, so the blade doesn't stop instantly, but it stops pretty quickly. And there's several other safety switches. For example, when you're up to the grass box, you can't have the cutter head going, and you can't drive off with the handbrake on, that type of thing. So all useful features. And here it gives you the capability to clean the deck out. So on the other side of the deck there's a hose fitting, and you just turn the hose on and engage the cutter deck, and that gives your deck a good clean. Also from here you can open the deck, because occasionally twigs and things do get stuck in there, but there's just a fitting there which you can easily open a catch. And what I did find, sometimes little twigs would get in there because it just cause a blockage, but having access to that door makes it really easy to open. So it's really straightforward. Here you can see a better view of the door, the side door. These panels come off for access. There's not a lot on this side, there's more on the other side, but in here you can get to the blade and what have you. Like I say, for clear, if that chute does get blocked, if the grass is too thick or whatever, if you got a twig, which was the most common thing, I had a little twig just blocking up the area. There's also a couple of shear bolts underneath the deck, so if you hit something hard, rather than bend the blade, hopefully the shear bolts will break before you do any damage. So another good feature. Let's go to the next slide. Here you can see a bit more access to the engine and the drive belts, etc. Battery. I mean, it's quite a tight fit in there, but I always manage to get in there somehow. But at least you can access it, which is good. This has got maintenance-free hydrostatic drive, so you shouldn't give any problem. I didn't have any problems with mine. On the Hydro, they do give you a heavier duty hydrostatic drive transmission, which isn't a bad thing. Not quite sure what the difference is, but I know it's a heavier duty one. This one's a slightly more basic drive. Here, just another picture of the mower cutting, and this one's supplied with a 11.5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton engine. Now there are quite a few different engines. I think I had Kawasaki's on both of mine, so there's several different engine versions. I believe there's a Honda and, like the one here, a Briggs & Stratton. So there are various similar models available depending on your preference. So I would always go for the largest engine available. One was 16 horsepower, and it never seemed underpowered. It seemed to have plenty of power, to be fair, which is good, but it's always better to be overpowered rather than underpowered. So got a mulching deck here. I didn't use mine for mulching. I just purely used it for collecting. I think I did try the mulching plug. I'm not sure if it's the same. I didn't particularly find it that effective. Maybe better now. I found it a much better machine for collecting. So that's personal choice, but it might work better in very dry conditions. But I literally collected all the grass, so it wasn't something I actually used. Here shows a picture of the mower cutting long grass. Now, in my view, that's probably about the longest grass you'd want to cut. Anything more, in normal terms, I'd say it's a bit too much for it. You might want to do a small amount, but practically it was better for lawn cutting rather than longer grass. But they do a side ejection, add-on, which you can see here, so the grass comes out the side, comes out on the ground rather than going through the box. Or you can take the floor out here, and so the grass will just come up the chute and then fall through and be spread reasonably evenly. Something else I didn't try, a dozer blade for clearing snow. Don't know how effective that would be, especially if it's slippery, but it's available. Scarify, which is a good idea, for scarifying lawns. Great little attachment as an add-on, and I would have thought that would probably be fairly effective. Fertilizer spreader, once again for this you need a tow bar, which can be fitted. It's an option, and if you're buying one from your garden, it's good to have all the options to make the full use of your machine. A few more pictures coming up where you can utilise it. Here with the tow bar fitted, you pull a trailer, etc., which is a great bonus, getting the most of your tractor all year round. And finally we have the optional light kit for road use. I've never seen one with a road kit on, but it apparently is available, which isn't a bad idea. And finally we're back to the start. So just to conclude, good little machine. Here, actually let me show you, you can't really see, but on the axles here on this machine, they are the Hydro 80 has a heavier axle. Now if you've got doing a lot of work, I would definitely say you want the Hydro, because you do get a bit of wear on these axles. It's steel plates rather than a cast iron axle, so that's one thing, one downside of the machine. Now my machine was a few years ago, so it could have changed slightly, but obviously when you're going over cutting grass over a period of time, there's a lot of sort of vibration, a lot of ups and downs and what have you, so I did have a bit of wear there, hence why I preferred the heavier axle. But other than that, it's a great machine, great for picking up wet grass, great for being compact and getting where most ride-on mowers can't go, and it leaves a very good cut. So if you've got any comments, I'm here to help, and I'll leave a few links at the bottom of this video. Thanks very much for watching.